The Reverend Henry Posma was pastor at First Reformed until he left in 1922. 1 year later, in 1923, the Reverend Garrett DeMotts arrived to take up the work in Lynden. The church continued to grow and enjoyed a fine fellowship. During this time, First Reformed became a self-supporting congregation. Two other important events during the ministry of the Reverend DeMotts were the building of a basement under the church and the growth of the Sunday school, which passed the 300 mark. Reverend DeMotts completed his ministry in Lynden in the spring of 1931. The Ladies' Aid Society, which had roots going back to 1911 at FRC, continued to grow during the 1920s. All of the meetings of this group in the early days were held in the Dutch language, and their meeting time was spent in devotions and reading of articles and poems. A membership fee of 10 cents was taken at each meeting, besides a free will offering. Some of the money was used for material to be made into garments which were sold in the fall at a church social. Those funds were used to help pay off the parsonage debt and also for redecoration of the church and the parsonage. In later years, the meetings were conducted in the English language, and in the 1950s the sewing and sales were dropped. They changed their name to the Ladies' Aid Missionary Society and began to focus their studies on the mission fields. Most of their funds were then sent to mission and education boards. The Christian Endeavor Society continued to be very active at FRC, and this is a photo of their 1926 Seattle convention as they advertised the next convention, which was to be in Yakima in 1927. Two of our oldest living members are Corny Notaboom and Georgia Smith. Corny has attended First Reformed since his baptism in 1918, and he has served on the consistory for many years, some of them as vice president. Georgia Smith is our oldest living member. Here is her wedding photo, where she married William Smith in 1941. They began attending First Reformed after that. Georgia has served FRC in many ways, among them as a wonderful Sunday school teacher.